Welcome back to Say It With Your Chest. I am your host, Tamara Meyer, and we are going straight into it because it's going to be a short, sharp, and sweet one, chest fam. But before we get into this one, please make sure you subscribe, you click that button, give me a thumbs up, and make sure you share what out of this was really helpful for you. But we are creating 3 different types of content with one simple story. And I'm going to begin with my story when it comes to endometriosis. Now, before you guys go into, oh, here we go again, it's just about her, hear me out, because a really important part of creating content and how you get to create multiple different styles of content is when you pick a story and look at how you can start bringing this to life with 3 different variations because of one story. And I actually didn't realize how powerful this story is because so many people right now are saying to me, please share more about your endometriosis story. And so I thought I would use this opportunity right now to share my story of endometriosis and use my story progression framework on how you can then create 3 different styles of content with one story. So with this particular story, I have to share that I have been normalizing pain for 10 years. And honestly, it's crazy. There's so much awareness coming out now around endometriosis. And I am so grateful that Jordan and I decided to walk into a appointment to plan how to freeze our embryos. And we walked out with, holy shit, we're having surgery you're having surgery for endometriosis. And because someone said to me, you have something here, this isn't normal. And that was the biggest thing for me. It was, this isn't normal, Tamara. And, for 10 years since I can even remember, I got my period when I was 12 years old. I was playing basketball, and yes, your girl was playing basketball. And yeah, my mum wasn't even there. And I remember I was like, what do I do? And I think about my teenage life growing up, and I was very heavily into dancing. I was that hyperactive kid that would go straight after school to like 4 different style of dance classes, acting classes, you name it. And then at school, I loved playing sports as well. And I remember just having I was on the controversial pill. I also remember getting off it quite early. So I got off the pill when I was like 20 years old. And I just remember when I was heavily into bodybuilding that it started to get really painful, even when I started training. And I thought, this is weird. I noticed even more when I was training in Thailand. And I just thought, because I'm really training excessively, that was my interpretation. I was like, that's normal. It's just because I'm really athletic and I'm, stressing my body out. So that would make sense. Fast forward to where I am now, I met Jordan and the pain was there. Pain got worse, to the point where having sex was just horrible. So here we are, and we're having a conversation with Dr. Tina Fleming, who is an incredible endometriosis specialist, surgeon, and also fertility specialist. And she's like, mate, you've got it. And she's so certain about it. And all I needed was I just needed someone to say, this is not normal. Now, this isn't just about a episode about being diagnosed, or even more so the story on the doctors got it wrong and why didn't anyone tell me, and that's another completely different rabbit hole because I had done an episode with Dr. Tina Fleming. But the point of this is I wanted to share that part of anything you connect with that's really important to you is a really great content piece. And a lot of women have been speaking to me because I've been sharing awareness on my journey. I'm not sharing my expert opinion. I'm merely sharing a story because it's something that's important to me. And because it's important to me, there's hidden messages in that story. And when we think about our messaging pillars, and for us, we are very big on, helping people, finding your voice, speaking up about, a lot of things. And a big part of my story is speaking up about something that I went through, So, of course, this makes sense to talk about using this for a content framework. How this content framework works, right? The topic is endometriosis. When we use the story progression, and thank me later for this. This is an acronym that I have used time and time again with content, with speaking, with topics, all of the things. The S, when you look at the acronym, stands for significance. So I always like to ask a prompt on significance, which is, name or think of three different events that have shaped you for who you are. Now, I know 3 is a very specific number, but it could even be when you think of one topic right now, and I'm using that event of endometriosis, there are so many parts to that event that has shaped me for who I am. So I can go into so many layers with this, right? But that one topic, in terms of how we break it down with the story framework in 3 different parts, is we can think about what started it, what's happening now, and then we want to look into what it has done to shape me for who I am. So for me, even though we have so many facets to our stories, the thing that stands for T is themes. This is where it gets really interesting. The themes of, the macro topic of endometriosis, the themes, the micro. And I like to say things like pain, being able to be intimate, not being intimate with my partner, having kids, the surgery itself, fear. I just went and just brain dumped a whole heap of things when it comes to endometriosis, right? Awareness. It could even just be, post-surgery. You can really go deep, or you can really go as simple as, I'm going to do a micro topic on when I got off the pill. And again, this is a part of the story that could lead into more so what it was like growing up with pain at adolescent age, because again, it was all about normalizing pain. That's a big theme, and you think about, as you start chunking up or start writing down these themes, a lot of people think content is really complicated. It's really not. You just need to really brain dump and use these little milestones or micro topics to ask the question of, okay, what's coming up with you? I mean, whiteboard sessions are my favorite thing, right? So T stands for themes. From there we go O. O stands for options. So in any type of content, when you break it down, how I don't make it about me is about, okay, so there's always options in any story, right? So think of it as a movie scene or any hero going on a journey. There's an option, there's a challenge, there's a situation, whatever it is. The option is for O. Did I have the option to grow from it, or did I have the option to not grow from it? Did I have the option to choose a different path, or did I have the option of staying the same? Depending on what resonates with you, whether it's I had the decision to have a growth mindset or I didn't. For example, if I talk about me growing up, I avoided this so much because I chose to live in pain. So option is the O. Now, R has 3 parts. What was the results of that decision? Resonance, which is more about what resonated with me. Any result has a feeling associated with yourself. Why does it resonate with me? And why is it relatable to your audience? Which is where we then go into your message. And that's where, what is the message after this piece that you're realizing from those 3 R's that your audience needs to hear now? And that's it, So we break it down to the story progression. When we look at endometriosis and we look at past, present, and future, breaking it down, we use the story progression to look at really the theme. And I always like to say, what's your goal behind a post? What is the type of post you want to do? And then from there, all you have to do is deliver and execute. But a lot of people get stuck on, the overthinking and overwhelm. The beauty about this framework, the story progression framework, to create content based on one topic, it gives you the ability to go beyond just 3. You can even do more because your themes really dictate the theme of it. What I'm noticing too, people overcomplicate content ideas when you could do one topic over and over again, but you could do it as a carousel, you could do it as a reel, you could do it as a yap content, which is when you're just literally in the car having a good old yarn. And sometimes it's the style that could make the content land differently for your audience. Now, when it comes to endometriosis, which is such a macro topic, look at it normalizing pain. Look at women right now who are silencing themselves. Look at what's happening in the world right now. You could really continuously and go further. Look at the relationship with your body. Look at listening. Look at your relationship with others, your health, right? So many things. But what I want you to do is never think of it as like oh my God, there's endless stories. I don't know what to do, what to pick. Just pick one. Stop thinking. Just do it. That's what they always say. And then you've got the opportunity to review it, to kind of go, okay, now I know what I'm going to do differently. And you'll start to see patterns because your themes, or at least picking one simple topic that's a macro topic with all these different versions of it, you've got data on your socials to go, well, people are really resonating with this, so why wouldn't I talk about it again in a different way, maybe in a different depth? And so to kind of end this short yet sweet episode, coming back to the whole point of this is, content can be a way that you can really deliver based on your story. What's important, which is the why, your message is it relatable to your message pillars? For us, finding your voice, speaking up, being able to help people. That's all you've got to ask yourself. And no one's going to kill their algorithm simply by trying and trying again. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. My name is Tamara Meyer, and I will see you next week on Say It With Your Chest.